The next verse, verse 499, continues with the analogy of a rope being mistaken for a snake. This follows on from the previous verse, which covered this in some detail, and I spoke about this in the previous video, so if you haven't watched the previous video, it might be a good idea to do so. After having got lost in the discriminations of the mind, we're coming back to a new level of realization. The realization that all of this that is going on is mind itself. And this isn't the psychological mind. It isn't simply the world as a reflection of our moods, because this is actually how we experience the world. We have a certain tone, a certain understanding, and we experience the world in accordance with that understanding. We use the world to fuel that understanding. We take parts of it, we discriminate parts of it, so that our worldview is reinforced. And then we say, this is how the world is. It's a bit like when we go and watch a movie and we enjoy that movie. We say, that was a good movie. We objectify our own moods, our own feelings. In the same way with the world. We might think the world's an awful place, truly dire, evil place, or a really wonderful place. It's neither. In fact, according to these verses that we're looking at, it doesn't even exist. The whole story, the whole understanding of an external world is due to, I suppose one way we could put it is due to limited understanding. We're caught up in this dynamic of discriminating the world in a certain way and using it to fuel our mood patterns, our mood tone, or what's sometimes described here as our habit energy. And we operate in accordance with this. We operate in accordance with this understanding. So it's like the rope being mistaken for a snake. We're seeing something that isn't there. We're misunderstanding the situation. The previous verse, 498, talked of us imagining an external world, and this is quite a big one, because it's our fundamental assumption that we make that there's an external world, there's a world out there, like an external stage upon which we strut our stuff for a few years before disappearing. You might agree with the understanding that there's no external world intellectually, but we really need to realize this for ourselves. And I've covered this in the previous two videos. We're told that this misunderstanding is due to the fault of not recognizing mind itself. So how can we recognize mind itself? There's all this stuff going on. The sense of sight tends to dominate, but we've actually got our moods, our thoughts, we've got feelings. That's all part of the external world. All of that is going on. So how can we recognize mind itself? Well, as I suggested in the previous videos, rather than see it as lots of different things, tune into the fact that something is happening at all, that all of this is actually happening. There is structure, there is order, there's intelligence at work. I'm not trying to argue for the existence of God here, that's a bit of a red herring. You can stick with the scientific understanding, which believes that it was all a result of blind forces. But these blind forces have created an intelligence, have given rise to our own intelligence, and in a way are therefore more intelligent than we are. So if our intelligence is the result of blind forces, then let's acknowledge this greater blind force. It's a greater intelligence, since it created ours, since it gave rise to our intelligence. So there is this staggering order and presence. Can you get a sense of the presence of the world? Be fresh. Be fresh in your experiencing. Give up all the stories you've got about the world and tune into the fact of its being right here, right now. It's more than awesome. It's almost screaming at us, saying, "Here I am," constantly poking us, jostling us around, not giving us a moment's peace. It wants acknowledgement. This presence of the world needs to be acknowledged. And in this acknowledgement, we can at last find some peace. So rather than, as I said, discriminate parts of it and get into the stories of the individual parts, just come back to the fact of its very presence. And when you do this, you're in a state of witnessing. This is a state of pure awareness. This awareness, this witnessing, is no different from presence. It all collapses into the one experiencing. Not so much collapses, it's our discrimination which collapses. The inner and the outer dissolve. So, this is the recognition of mind itself. It's beyond our thoughts, it's beyond our moods. The attention is finally at rest in itself. We've gone beyond the tension of the attention. To pure witnessing, pure awareness. The awareness that's hearing this. The awareness that is simply hearing this, not hearing it from out there, not hearing it from in here, but simply hearing. The awareness which is hearing anything and everything. It's the same awareness. The awareness that is seeing this, seeing everything. It's the same awareness. This awareness is the great witnessing. And it's identical to the presence of the world.